Hi VC. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you to all my new subscribers and all the old ones too. This is a response to James Griffiths' thread video about bad 80s production. So I thought it would only be fair to show some records that I had and still have from the 80s. And just talk about them a little bit. Okay. Well, one of them I didn't actually have in the 80s, but anyway. Right. So I think I'm going to start with the person that I have all the albums of, or certainly from the 80s and 90s, early 90s, and that is Madonna. Now, this album was as much a change from Like a Virgin as when she went on to do Like a Prayer, and that being different. But when you sort of think about it, with her, retro 50s, 60s image, and songs like, let's have a look. Well, particularly True Blue, I think, the title track, but some of the others as well. It's just overladen with drums, synthesizers, and whatnot. But the songs are really good. But unfortunately, it's not one that I would go back to listen to, even if in some ways it was probably like one or maybe even the favourite of her albums that she did. I mean, I'm not so keen on her now. So that is the first person. Next one, somebody else who's somebody showed this. John showed it. Anyway, Bad. I think this, in a similar vein, suffers with some good songs, maybe not quite so good songs. Actually, I have the receipt here because I lived near where it was made, and that cost me £1.80. Somebody bought that for me that worked at the distributing centre. Anyway, I would have to say that Bad suffers quite a lot from its production. Yeah, so that's the second person. This isn't going to take very long, you'll be glad to know. Right, after those sort of people, I got into this band a bit. Now, there was loads of bands that dragged into the 90s, that started in the 80s, that really suffer from the production. Some of the songs on here, again, really good. But I'm sorry to say that this album also suffers from the maybe not so many synthesizers and drums, bearing in mind it is more a normal rock band, but just the overall sound, and something like this, if they could record it again, it would be really interesting, I think. Yeah, so that is the third example. I mean, the cover as well. I mean, the cover is just lovely and doesn't really go with that sort of period of time, I don't think. So apart from the pop charts, when I was at school, there was another band who were either into rock, like your Def Leppards and your Guns N' Roses, and I'm sure some Def Leppard stuff is a bit overproduced. I could have had Hysteria, but I went for this. Trying to be maybe not controversial, but just make a point. In that, when you compare what Beastie Boys went on to, and I know this was, I think, produced by Rick Rubin, but yeah, it's just not so that I want to listen to it again now because of not what it reminds me of, but like the antithesis of the sound and Yeah, I'll tell you what the other thing was. I was watching this Sound City documentary, which is very much like it's the one that Dave Grohl bought the mixing desk for, but it's very much Rick Rubin producing this reminded me of it because he did the Johnny Cash albums on it at Sound City, but like the 60s, 70s, and then you have that gap, and then the grunge came back again. Well, yeah, the 80s and the original computers, and the next two records, last two records I'm going to show, also suffer from the early infancy, virgin technology that wasn't, as we know now, mixed in like with real instruments. Like someone like Nine Inch Nails being a good example, like from the Sound City documentary, where you can have a bit of a best of both worlds. Whereas the things that went all out have suffered, and I would have to include this in it, really. I don't know what people think about that, but I mean, it's a great album, but certainly the Beastie Boys album after was a bit more on the street, I suppose. I mean, I know this was very much a certain image. Anyway, as a precursor to the next one, or rather the last one that I showed, here's another example of particularly, well, this is a Christian album of a rapper, and it's just so overproduced as a lot of that sort of music was, and sometimes still is. There he is, what a lovely haircut. A guy called Carmen, with an A. So, yeah. So the last one I'm going to show is somebody else that went on to bigger and better things, had a hit in UK #1 hit with Doctor in the TARDIS. So this album has, although I suppose maybe in some ways it was groundbreaking, what they were doing, certainly the subject matter's a bit dated as well as the overall sound. And they did get into trouble for this, I know, and all that sort of stuff. But they went on to do Chill Out, and then they went on to do the Moo Moo stuff. But this is it's just dated to me, And all these albums, I don't know. Anyway, I hope you found this a brief, short, interesting video. And I don't want to go back to the 80s at the moment. No. 90s would be better, I think. Anyway, take care, VC. And I hope you are all doing well. And yeah, here's my advert again, one more time. We're on most or nearly every Sunday, 12 until 1400 hours UK, or I will be eventually on Mixcloud, but I do put it on my Dropbox on Facebook page, so contact me if you are interested in more of a sort of a general 2-hour Sunday lunchtime show. Some different stuff, some maybe a bit more normal, but yeah, okay. Cheers for now. Bye.